Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it is Cypher Sigma here. It is midweek Wednesday. So this is another back to the watchlist. I think this is episode 10. So obviously this is the evolution of the last series that I did. So essentially over the last 14 days, anything I've been watching, physical media or streaming or anything in between all of those will be, this is what I talk about on this video. Except for movies that I go see at the cinema, I discount these because these are featured at the end in their own little segment. So I could kind of say I've been a very busy boy, but because obviously, let's just book it up. So this is how many films I've been watching over the past week. So some of these obviously I'm watching with my wife, some of these I'm watching my own, some of these are series, and some there are other things for this, for the whole, or culling, or like obviously if we just do it raining and stuff and you end up watching quite a few. So this is where it is. So we will start off with some online stuff first. So first off, I finished, and I didn't get to mention the last one was a TV series called Shifting Gears. So this is on Disney Plus. This is the new Tim Allen and Kat Dennis, what's her name? Kat. From Two Broke Girls, she was in the 4 movies. This is their kind of new reality scripted TV show. A lot of canned laughter in it, which ruins it a little bit. Jenna Elfman, who I was a big fan of back in the 90s, obviously played Dharma from Dharma and Greg. She appears in this near the end. Sean William Scott. It's an interesting concept. It's only 10 episodes, which is a bit unusual for this kind of series. It's normally like 20 or 25. I'm not sure why they've gone 10. But it's interesting enough that it's a good kind of, like Two Broke Girls, it's kind of has a few laughs, has a few okay moments, and it's good to put on there. So that is the first one, so Shifting Gears. So next up, we will go to the other series. So as I've said before, me and my wife struggle a little bit to find TV series, and we obviously watched like Code of Silence and the last one. So after this, we went on to Trigger Point. So we watched Trigger Point season 1. So this is essentially the main lady from Line of Duty. If anybody has seen this, she is a bomb disposal expert, and unfortunately, due to going on what she believes is a routine kind of bomb thing with her boss gets blown up, and it's kind of there's this organization person type who's trying to kind of outdo this bomb disposal expert. There's people that she knows that are tied to it and stuff like this, and it all ends up in kind of a troubled individual, so to speak. It was an interesting enough series to watch. Obviously, it's surprising how many bombs they kept coming across and didn't defuse a lot of them. Even like the first episode, you kind of like, maybe it's me and I've watched a lot of it, but I knew exactly kind of what was going to happen. I was just waiting for the exact moment for it to happen. But it was all right. It's enjoyable. I think it's 6 episodes, so not the longest series in the world. But there we go. So then we will move on to the physical media pile. So first up, I have a recent purchase. This is the Watchmen. So this is one of, I would probably say, the far better Zack Snyder films that he's produced. I'm going to quote AJ here because AJ does it. If he has a good source material to work with, then he does it very well. And I really like this movie. There are elements of this movie I wish would have been incorporated into his Justice League, his original Justice League, of what we would have got. Not the Zack Snyder cut or anything like that, but there are bits where they're escaping with Rorschach from prison, and you have Owlman and the lady, I can't remember what her name is now, them two fighting all these people. There's a few little sets like that I think are really good. Obviously, he used a little bit like that in Batman versus Superman, but I think Wonder Woman and Batman teaming up and having a nice fight would have been really spectacular to see. But it is what it is. But yeah, really enjoy it. Really like the music. The beginning of this is such a lovely. It's such a probably, what is it? I think it's like 6 or 7 minutes, montage of everything that happens to who's leading up to this point. And I think it's really good, really well acted and stuff. Obviously, it misses a few little bits from the graphic novel, but I still really enjoyed it. I say glad to have the upgrade in my collection. Absolutely enjoy the movie. So next up we have From Dusk Till Dawn. So this wasn't on my pile. I pulled this out, and the reason why I pulled this out, I'm a big fan of Sinners, what was released this year. AJ had been saying, it's essentially it's a mirror image of this movie. So I couldn't really remember this, and I tend to side on the other side of it. I could see a few similarities, but from what I remember, there wasn't much in it. Plus, obviously, Sinners, even though it has the brothers and stuff, and they have some sort of gangster connection. It is more about Sammy's story, and there are a lot of elements that are bring there, including the music stuff that I really liked. So I went back and rewatched it. Lo and behold, the director of Sinners does quote this as an influence, so I can see some points on that. Rewatching it, I did enjoy this movie, but I class them two very different movies, apart from essentially a few core elements that are the same. Like, you have a run-in with vampires, you have a set of brothers that take front and center for a lot of the movie. And you have a character who plays multiple roles. Cheech Morana, is it Moran? From Cheech and Chong. He obviously plays 3 roles in this movie. I mean, there are a few things like that, and obviously the bloke's taken inspiration from it, so I can see it. But I watch it, sitting down and having watched Sinners at the beginning of the year and watched this apart, to me they seem like two distinctive movies. But I can see and understand, obviously, there are some, you can pull some connections for this, but obviously, again, this came out 90s, and obviously I don't think I was old enough to see it until like the early 2000s, so I don't have much of a connection to this, but there we go. So next up, we have some on the rewatch pile. So first up is The Cable Guy. So this was my second watching of Cable Guy. It's quite a pleasant surprise to see Saul Goodman. He pops into it for a little bit of scene. I always found this movie, this is a bit like Dumb and Dumber stuff, even though I have Dumb and Dumber is probably one I need to go back and revisit. Jim Carrey's early stage is very hit and miss. I love stuff like Ace Ventura and that, but yeah, Dumb and Dumber and this I never got on. Rewatched it again, as I throw it, it was better the second time watching it. I will give him that. It's still one that I found this Chip, or whoever he wants to call himself, character quite annoying for about 80% of the movie. There were a few elements that did work for me. I said maybe it's just this era of Jim Carrey. I mean, even Matthew Broderick. I mean, I like War Games and stuff like this, and I do have Ferris Bueller. I know AJ's going to be not happy with me if I don't like Ferris Bueller, so maybe I'm holding off. But yeah, I'm glad to rewatch it, but this goes in the discard pile, even though I've seen it. I've seen it twice in 30 years, and out of everything I have no clear clear conscience or that I would ever go back to this or even want to go back to this, if that makes sense. And I'm sure it's quite cheap to pick up, I think, so that it's not going to lose me money if I decide to. So then next we move on to some upgrades that I bought. So again, AJ, apologies, I'm quoting him a lot in these videos. So he obviously recently upgraded these, and I managed to pick up my Blu-ray versions of all of them for £1.20. So I've been watching them. So me and my wife have sat down and watched The Wedding. I really enjoy these movies. I think AJ has quoted this. This is like they grow up when we grow up. It was very much of I was the same sort of age as these guys when these films were being made. Obviously, you look back on it now and they're quite old. But I find it funny. I think 2 is by far my favourite, but the wedding and the reunion is great. It's interesting that obviously certain characters weren't in this and then returned for it, and there was no explanation why. Definitely Stifler takes front and centre more in this film. I don't know, a lot of people take problems with it, but I don't. I quite enjoy his character. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Really glad to have it. So next up is another one on the rewatch pile. I'd never seen this, so this is The Game of Their Lives. This is about true story. So essentially, you have some American football players They're basically called up to go to the World Cup. Um, they are not. They are from different areas, and they get on. They have different tactics, and they essentially go to the World Cup to basically try and win a game. It is a very up and down. Obviously, we have Patrick Stewart, John Rhys Davies from Lord of the Rings, and Wes Bentley. They take front and centre. It was an interesting one to watch it. The fact it is based on true events. Obviously, the characters here, there, and everywhere have a little bit of extra stories going on, and set out and stuff. It wasn't enjoyable to watch, and I did enjoy watching it and learning the story. But by the end of it, it's something that isn't a massive historical event. I enjoyed the experience, but I enjoyed it as a kind of average movie. There's nothing that would really make me want to go back and watch this anytime soon. So this will also go on the discard pile. So at the 29, I think this is like 3 or 4 that I've got rid of so far. So I'm doing all right, even though the Futuramas I've kept and stuff like this. So as it was a busy weekend, obviously we finished it off with American Pie, the reunion, or reunion as it is. Really enjoyed this. Glad to bring all the cast back. It's funny how, like Chris Klein, they mention about, like, you know, like, I missed the wedding and stuff like this, and obviously there had been rumours of why they were left out. But again, really works really well. The silly scenarios they get into and stuff like this. And yeah, it is. I don't know. The story just works so well. Obviously, Jim's dad and stuff, and then obviously you've got Finch's mum in this, and there are so other elements that just stuff comes full circle. And as much as this seems to be the last we've got, there are talks about American Pie 5, but there's nothing concrete or anything. I think this is a great way to end it. At the fact that it was a really enjoyable watch. I could easily watch it a few times over. I want more, but I don't want it to get to the point of these main films start feeling like the really poor sequels. So, but as I say, £1.20 for all 4 movies and thoroughly enjoyable. Next up, Alone in the Dark. So this is one I bought off my friend Daryl a long time ago. He had he was moving house, he had a box of loads of DVDs, he said he didn't want any, so I pulled this out. I've never watched it. Christian Slater, kind of the hell demony side. It's these kids, they're kind of experimented on in this kind of not hostel, but it's kind of like this nuns, I can't think of the word now, but yeah, like a kind of what you see in it, like nuns look after kids and stuff like that. They're left alone and abandoned and stuff like this, and they're kind of experimented on this, and then it kind of leads to these devices that split this world between like this evil world, and this creature has been, or these creatures have been released on it, and you see them. It is very, it's based on a computer game, which I didn't know, not played it. It's very much 90s CG. Obviously Tara Reid's in it, Stephen Dorff's in it. They're trying their best with what they've got. It just comes across as a very cheesy TV movie that, yeah, I've watched. It was all right. I'm not going to go back to it. So we have 3 that go in the discard pile. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy I'm getting through lots and stuff is going into that pile. Just because obviously the more I get rid of, the more I could buy later. So next one up is, you would have seen, I would have done a James Gunn review a few weeks ago. So I was meant to be on a live stream and there was all this confusion with it. So I went to as I had the Guardians of the Galaxy movies fresh in my head, but the others I didn't. I went back and rewatched this. Really enjoyed this movie. James Gunn does an amazing job, I think, on this. You know, even like Naui, King Shark, works really well. Polka Dot Man, I forgot what the rat lady's called now. King Shark. No, they don't actually say her name on the back. Ratcatcher 2. Really big fan of Joel Kinnaman. A bit sad to see his character be killed off, but obviously Peacemaker 2 will be continued in linking to obviously the new DCU and stuff like this. And to say this is kind of the movie that cemented, I think, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn for me, but I think it worked really well. I think it good. It's a shame he didn't get to do the Thunderbolts movie the way he wanted to, and this is what we got instead. It still is a really, really good movie. It said it would have been nice as a Thunderbolt fan to have got that, but you can't have everything in this day and age, and it is. So next up we have is Halo Season 2. So finally finished all of Halo, leaves it a bit on a open. They find Halo, they go towards it, and they look like there could be more. They have said they are fishing this around for other studios, but obviously this was produced in 2024. We're now 2025 and not heard anything, so I think this is dead. The main guy does a brilliant job. I remember him from Orange is the New Black. But the Spartans in this are so personified, look good. They only have 4 Spartans, and this series definitely amps up the action and takes more of the story forward. You have the Flood in it, which obviously isn't the new race. Quite quick of a transition from the original bad guys from season 1 to now have the Flood in it. But obviously has a lot of links and stuff. Obviously, some people are affected. They kill off some characters. Which is natural progression. I mean, most of them, they're not. There's 1 or 2 that I was probably like, oh no, that's not great, because I quite enjoyed the character and their story. And it's a shame it took that long. I mean, people said like it took long to Taylor. I think, as I said when I watched season 1, because of TV series, I have to limit the action, whereas the game is very much action orientated, and because of having more story, I think people just didn't connect as much with it. But I still really enjoyed it. Glad to have season 1 and 2 in it. Really hope at some point they would come back and do something. So, as I've said, we were on the James Gunn front. So the first one of the 7 that I was supposed to review was Super. It'd been a long, long time since I've seen it, so I went back and rewatched it. I remember not being the biggest fan of it on the first watch. Again, second watch went up a little bit. I like some of the stuff that they did here. I found Ellen Page's laugh really. There were bits in it that I find really, really annoying. He does well with what he's given regarding budget and music and everything else. Music, I've said, like he kind of comes into his own in Guardians of the Galaxy, and there are definitely elements you can see here that work really well and definitely hit base as he's got popular and stuff. And I say, when you're a small-time director and you haven't got much money, obviously you're limited stuff. I don't think it's the most amazing movie. I've seen it twice now. Like, as you can tell, it's going on the discard pile. I have no. It was all right, but it's not something I would ever really want to go back to. And even if I did go back to it, I'm sure it'd be pretty cheap if I wanted to pick it back up down the line. But I'm just, yeah, I would rather focus it on more enjoyable movies that I really enjoy and streamline it down. So then we move forwards into Sliver. So obviously the final James Gunn that I had to watch. Really, really enjoyed this. I'm not a big horror fan. James Gunn did really well. It's good to see, obviously, the people that he has, but like Kevin Smith have his own actors. I'm glad of the reason probably why I like this more than the others. Obviously, Nathan Fillion takes front and center, which I really enjoy him. Have enjoyed him all the days from Serenity. Even the evil priest from Buffy season 6 or 7. I think it's season 7. I think it was. But yeah, it was a really, really kind of aliens come to Earth, aliens affecting the woman being in a big suit and being. It all has a natural progression. The fact most people get, done. They kind of go on a bit of the connection when the woman's connected to that little slug thing and she's trying to pull it out, and there's the connection of where these come from, so she understands how they work, which they kind of work in a symbiotic way, these creatures. But I think it's really, really good. It's blood and gory and horror, but not to the nth. It kind of has a comedy and a few other elements in there that make it an enjoyable watch for me, whereas I think a lot of hardcore horror movies are just not my cup of tea. So that was a pull off the shelf and go back in. So that was great. So we get to some new watches. So first one is Ride Your Waves. So this was one I picked up, I think, in the last payday, or it might have been the one before. So this was one of 3 anime movies that I picked up, and essentially this is really nice. So you have the 2 main characters. This guy is a firefighter. He is had an incident with a young girl where he was drowning. She saves him, and since then he wants to do good. So he's quite good at everything. He becomes a firefighter. This girl, she always goes out surfing. They kind of meet, have a connection, and then start dating. She teaches him to surf, and then one morning he goes out through the surf and unfortunately dies. Leading up to it, they have a song that they always just do. When she sings this song, she sees him return in water. No one else can really see him. So she kind of has the connection. He said, I'll always be there. And kind of, you see when he helps him with stuff and he can move water at times to help like fires and stuff like this. The light kind of, you can see people go off to thing, and he is kind of stuck in this limbo world, and it's her kind of dealing with it, that he's still around, but she's come to terms with it. She doesn't know why he did what he did. His friends are around. He has another firefighter friend who kind of likes her, and then his sister who's around. And you kind of have this group and how they intermingle and stuff. And it all is kind of loss and dealing with loss and how you move forward. And as anime movies go, it was quite clever that they don't go how you would think they would go. There are signs you think it's going to go to one direction, and then it's kind of more of a self journey of the main girl and just her come to terms with this tragedy and how she would move on. And it's really good, really well done, animated, even though it's a mixture of CG and done. Very kind of, the world feels very realistic, but there are a lot of fantasy elements which I think work well and kind of have hit a lot of the kind of your name and stuff like that. There are a few words like that I think work really well. So if you're an anime fan, I would definitely recommend picking this up. It was a really enjoyable, really silly at moments. The music is quite fun as well with this. So next up, we have AJ's name mentioned again. Put down in the comments below how many times you think he will get mentioned in this video. Maybe I should do a running count. So this is one he gifted me. So this is the Defenders series. So I decided to revisit this. Having rewatched Daredevil, the new one, Born Again, I wasn't the biggest fan. But it's been a long time. I didn't realise 2017, I think this came out. So yeah, 8 years. So I don't believe the old Daredevil was 10 years. So I went back and actually thoroughly enjoyed it. This definitely felt like a solid movie, and to be honest, I know a lot of people hate like Iron Fist and stuff. I think all the characters were well cast and the stories were well fleshed out, and that this Netflix world was brilliant. It's a shame it ended when it did. Obviously we are getting elements of this in the MCU, but I'm not I'm saying I'm not the biggest fan of the new Daredevil series. So I have this. I had Daredevil season 1. I had Jessica Jones season 1. I don't have any of the others. I don't know if this is it doesn't look necessarily it could be a copy, I don't know. But I still enjoy having it in the series. It's scanned in, so it's fine. So then we move on to some other upgrades that I've got. So this is Ratatouille. So me and my wife wanted just something. It was a rainy afternoon and we had nothing to really watch, or didn't know what to watch. So I put this on as it was kind of a revisit. I hadn't revisited since I think it's the third watch of it. And I did enjoy it. I think the animation, Patton Oswalt works really well as Remy. It was a lot of elements are kind of coming together. We've been to Disneyland Paris and ridden the Ratatouille rides. We did that a few years ago, so that was quite nice to have that memory now linked with this. But yeah, it's covered like the hair and stuff like this. I think Disney are very good with creating some of these fictional worlds and a few things they come up with, and I really liked it with the rats and stuff like this. So it's a very enjoyable movie. I wouldn't say it's in the top section. It's definitely a solid mid-tier Disney movie. Yeah, that is Ratatouille. So next is another upgrade that I got. So this is Trainwrecked. Again, we and my wife, I think we watched, this is one of the first movies we kind of just watched at home on DVD. So I updated it. I found it quite funny. LeBron James is quite clever. John Cena is quite funny in this as well. And I say it's Amy Schmuller. It's definitely, you can see early Amy Schmuller in this, and I thought it worked quite well. I mean, her and David Hayter is that. But it's by Judd Apatow, so he's Bill Hader. Yeah, so these two are not necessarily go-to actors and actresses that I go to or enjoy something, but I think this works for like the mid-tier, as I seem to be like using that word. But yeah, it's a fun watch. It's only £1. I think it should be worth more. So then we go back to the rewatch pile. So apologies, I've watched a lot, so this obviously video is going to probably be one of the longest ones I've done. So this is the fourth kind. This is loosely based off true events. It obviously has Mila Jovovich. She plays this scientist from this little Alaskan town, and basically in this period, a lot of people are kidnapped. They believe it is aliens that have done. The woman kind of leading the thing, her daughter goes missing, her partner's died, and she has to raise her kids and stuff. And they kind of, you have an introduction with them, and while this film goes on, there are scenes where their actors are doing it, and then they actually have the real footage of what was, as far as I'm aware, taken. I mean, it all kind of set up. So there is a bit of a, is there, isn't there? Basically, it's a movie to make your mind up. It was all right as I was watching it. I think I remember the first time watching it. Obviously, found footage and stuff like that is the way it's interlocked. It works all right. There is so much vagueness to this, and there is so much, I think, open to interpretation that it doesn't ground me. This movie, it kind of, I'm just floating along for the journey, and just watching what I'm watching and just making my own opinions all the way through it. So because obviously even those opinions I'm quite loose, because I know there is a lot of is there, isn't there. By the end of it, I'm just kind of meh. So this will go as well. There is no point keeping it if I'm not going to enjoy it. So then we have another rewatch that I picked up. So this is Caddyshack. So I've never seen this before. I think it's in the late 70s or 80s. So by Harold Ramis, so from Ghostbusters fame. And essentially it is this era where you have these people and they end up kind of in a golf tournament at the end. It's kind of the slapstick comedy. You have Bill Murray who's trying to get rid of this gopher guy. This was by far the best bit. If the story had kind of been them just trying to get rid of this gopher and this gopher interacting with stuff, I would definitely keep this movie. For me, it was an all right watch. As I say, this was the only element that kept me entertained for most of it. It was just your standard funny, silly ones from that time, which don't really find a solid connection to me. It's a golfing movie with some kind of fun elements. But yeah, so that is going to go. So out of the 29 we have in this week, at least 6 that will not be staying in the collection. There may be another one. So, but doing good. Like I'm almost a third. I mean, with Futurama, I'm a third of the way through that watch pile. So we are doing quite well. So then we'll shift focus. So when me and my wife were then looking at stuff, obviously Happy Gilmore 2 has come out just around about this video. And my wife had never seen Happy Gilmore, so we watched it on Netflix. Even though I do own it and I'm lazy and didn't want to go on it, it was chucking it down. She wanted to watch Happy Gilmore. I'm like, well, I can go out to the garage and get soaked, or we can just put it on. So yeah, she really enjoyed it. I really enjoy it. I have very fond memories. It was Adam Sandler's shouty era, but it was such a fun watch for me, and some fun memories and Chubbs and, you know, Carl Weathers and stuff like this, and Shooter McGavin. And I think I don't know, there's just some charm about it. You know, his happy place, his Happy Gilmore and stuff, and how it's filmed. Look, just everything just ticks boxes and just works for me. And it's just an enjoyable movie you can kind of watch. And you get the gist of the story, and, you know, and I look forward to watching 2, even though I've heard not good things. So that is Happy Gilmore. So I will go to the last, so we have 2. So we have another series. So this series has just premiered on Amazon. It is with Freddie Highmore. It's called The Assassin, and it is essentially, you have this girl she goes on this routine job, and then there's this pregnancy test, and she thinks she's pregnant. She has this son, Edward. Fast forward 30 odd years, they're estranged almost. He comes to visit her. She is visiting this wedding. They go to a wedding, and basically another assassin starts to take her out. This is when you start to realise that he finds out who his mum is. In between, Edward is engaged to someone who she is then contracted to try and kill. There's all other elements going on, other organisations. Obviously, Edward's fiance and her family are very much focused on this. It has Jim Robinson, if everybody remembers Neighbours. He's in it, still looking like Jim Robinson. Him and his fiance's brother's in it. And it's all kind of there's these weird elements going on with it. And then there's this woman that's trying to get her as well, and you don't really know. And then you find all out at the end that essentially this woman, or Edward's mum, was hired to do a job. She went in and killed the person she was meant to kill, and he shot the wife and believed the wife to be dead, and the kid was all alone, and she took him, and that's who Edward is. And the woman trying after it is actually his mum, but not his biological mum, because he had a surrogate for it. It was all right. As a 6-episode film goes along, there are a few elements that worked. It just felt like it was a little bit lacking a few elements. The story and stuff, it just, they quote Freddie Highmore, who we really, really like, Bates Motel, The Good Doctor and stuff. He kind of doesn't get as much screen time, but when he is on screen, he is really good. There are just, I think, some of the actors and actresses that build up this world, and some of the acting and how it's set just don't work for me, and that's just why I struggled a little bit. But it is what it is. So, and then on top of that, we have the Netflix series Ironheart. So I just recently sit down and watched this. And I did enjoy it for the most part. By episode 5, 6, I was kind of getting into it. I understand you have this kind of clique of people who are crooks, and it is more built for a modern day audience than me. I can understand that, step back and enjoy that. The Hood, I like the actor. He's been in like Rise of the Beast and stuff. His portrayal of Parker was just a little bit off. For me, wasn't as powerful as I would have liked him to be. Ironheart, the main girl, Riri, I liked her when she had the AI of Natalie. I thought those two actually worked really well together, and those as one character with the suit were better once she had this AI and kind of fleshed out, worked really good. The story and the backlog, I understood it. I worked with it. I built and enjoyed the characters more as we went along. Sacha Baron Cohen was great as Mephisto coming in at the end. I really, really liked him. But then the whole conclusion of it, I get it, they want to keep the series going, but the fact Riri's character has all these issues, and then she's fighting, and then ends up giving in, and getting Natalie brought back to real life, and then you have the Hood still survived, and then meets up with this other magic person that we've met through it. I was just like, you've just chosen the wrong decisions for this. You needed her to be this hero and not to have Natalie, and then maybe have something with Parker convincing this lady, not going into the shop and go, you do want to do some magic? And she's like, yeah. I was like, that just doesn't work. But by the by. So next up, we have Eurotrip, just because I went to a friend's birthday party. We were talking about Scotty Doesn't Know. Absolutely adore this film. Rewatching it, this song is great. The fact this song was just written for this, and it's done by Matt Damon, and it's absolutely such a belter. Got some of the bits on my memory was confused of who ends up with who and stuff like this, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was really fun. Again, it comes from that era of American Pie and stuff like this, and just there are a lot of elements that work really well. Then we have Money Monster. So I really enjoyed this. It's got Jack O'Connor. I think Jack O'Connor is, I think, a very underrated actor. I've watched a lot of stuff he's in of late, even in the 28 years later. But I really like him. I forgot what happens to his character, but I don't want to give away, but I really like the story. It's very clever. It's how it's shot. I mean, the fact that these two main actors, actor and actress, Julia Roberts and George Clooney, aren't actually, they filmed all this stuff more or less separately because they're not really in the same location. Everything was written due to logistics. But, where a government, and currency fails and screws people out of 800 million, and then you try to find out on all the politics and stuff that's involved with it. I thought it was just very clever how they worked it all together. A little bit of a sad ending, but and I didn't realise it was directed by Jodie Foster. But actually, really enjoyed this. Glad to have upgraded it, £2. As I say, I had it in my collection, but I can't find the DVD. And then the final one, which is on the rewatch pile, is Mars Needs Mum. So again, this is an animation. It comes from, it's Seth Green playing the main character, and the bloke from Fantastic Beasts, who's the baker, he's one of the other ones. And then Joan Cusack as the mum. Meh. I get the story. I get where they're going from. It's very built for kids. It is around that kind of Polar Express animation style of things that I feel is just missing something, whether it's meant to be put there to be quirky, who knows. But it was an all right watch, 84 minutes. It's going on the discard pile. So there we go. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7. So out of 10, at least I've watched 7 have gone. So we're doing really good. But that has been my massive pile. Is there anything in there you agree, disagree with? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. Otherwise, I've been Cypher Signal Screen Time, and that's been a review of what I've been watching the past 2 weeks. Hope you're all having a great time out there and have a great forward week ahead.